Hello, welcome to the 95th episode of Unifying Force. I'm Kat, joined by Dave and Gio. How is everybody?
I am doing well. How about
Yeah,
yourself?
all good here. How are you?
Alright, we are here for the VCN event of the summer. Old man yelling at clouds. Take it away, Dave.
Okay, so yeah, let's start the show, and I'll probably put this up a couple other times. Spoiler alert. Like, if you have not seen 2025 James Gunn Superman, look away now. Because there will be spoilers. There will be very specific things that we will be discussing, that I will be discussing, that drove me absolutely batshit crazy. So yeah, and before you pop away, I'm not saying don't go see this movie. I am not saying don't go see this movie. I am a large believer in the fact that everyone should see some, like even bad movie. Go see it, form your own opinion, and I will be more than happy to discuss and hear that from you. But whew, all right, that's it. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Okay, there were many things I thought completely that this was going to devolve into a James Gunn tirade of like Peacemaker, crude humor, and turn every character in the entirety of the Superman universe into that kind of thing. That thankfully did not happen. So also I thought that from the trailers, I did not believe that the acting was going to be as good as it was. I thought David Corenswet, for what was written for him, performed it well. I did not love the performances of some of the others, and we'll get into that because I think Gio has some specific questions about that in a bit. Yes, Sherry, it's gonna be a thing. Again, I thought Corenswet performed it well. Some of the others not so much. I think it was obvious that James Gunn has done, either he already knew or a number of things about Superman, or did a fair amount of research, that a lot of what he presented were moments, pieces, parts from the Superman lore that he's gone. He's read comic books. He's looked at a lot of things that have happened in the Superman universe, both in the movies and the comics and the animated series. I think it was blatantly obvious that he has looked at and researched and found out a lot about that, because he duplicated many of those movies or many of those moments on the big screen. Now, he took all of those moments and just threw that shit at a wall and see what stuck, and did not put them together in any sort of cohesive way whatsoever. And so much of it just fell flat, did not stick, did not have the meaning that it did it in its original context, and wrote Superman wrote so many things that occurred with the character of Superman himself that it struck me as so wrong, so wrong that what he did to the character. Visually stunning, much of it. Um, Many parts of it CGI'd and visually stunning to no real anything that had anything to do with the story. Uh and just a lot of scattershot, this, that, here, there. What are we going? We're over here. Look over there. Now we're doing this. Now we're doing that. Oh, here's like 6 other heroes that we're going to throw in here, which I thought I was going to hate, and that was the better part of the movie. Okay, like no. Cat, I know, Cat. If you hadn't thrown the other heroes, I'm saying Mister Terrific specifically, like the universe would have freaking ended. Like if he had not been in the movie, we're all over because Superman sure as hell didn't fix it. I will go with the popcorn bucket game was strong. Okay, I had to have this. I love the fact that like it's reversible paper on there, and you can take Superman off of there and put the dog on there because the dog saves the day.
The
Okay,
real
the
MVP,
dog
Crypto.
the dog saves the day.
And Mr.
Um,
Terrific.
yeah, the dog and Mister Terrific saved the day. And I have much, much more to say, but I'll go ahead and stop talking for a moment and see what initial thoughts from the both of you, because I know you have both seen it.
Gio?
So I think this film is mighty confused, and I think the new rebranded DC universe is trying to do a billion different things at once, and they've decided to do it in a Superman film to the extent where Clark Kent Kal-El kind of feels like a bystander in his own movie. There are all these phrases used in pop culture now, like main character energy and main character syndrome. And David Cornsweet's acted pretty well in the film, but he doesn't have much to do. He's not even that impactful towards some of the many, many plot points that there are. There's every kind of disaster you can imagine pulled from every kind of recent sci-fi, fantasy, multiverse, comic book, whatever, thrown into this one 125-minute film. And it's just, it feels as if it's desperately trying to grab hold of every kind of pop culture vine you can imagine to make Superman kind of modern and relevant, when you can argue that the character itself is a mythological hero that is kind of timeless. And so in any era you put him in, there should be a fairly simple but inspiring story to build around him that he then represents to other people. So yeah, it's firing all cylinders at once from the jump, and it's very chaotic. I found it quite parts of it just a little too loud, too frenetic, a little too fast-paced for their own good, and it the it has some strong elements to it, but they're very easily swallowed up by the overall experience, which to me, and I don't like bringing this kind of story back up, but when Martin Scorsese gave that famous interview about 10 years ago saying that superhero movies are theme park rides, that's all they are. They're not cinema. This is just further evidence to go towards that specific argument, even though that argument's not very fair and has its own issues. It kind of felt like a Disney park ride that was going off the rails, trying to impress you without doing the simple stuff, like buckle you up, keep you feeling safe, keep you feeling central to what's going on, and just having just having fun. So yeah, it's um yeah, it's the modern summer blockbuster superhero film for the ADHD generation. It kind of feels like it's designed for people's minds who might be distracted by reels and TikToks and shorts online. And so there are so many little episodes within the film that don't feel like a coherent movie.
Agreed on all counts.
It
How about you, Kat?
it feels like you're being dropped into like issue number 5 or 6 of an ongoing storyline. Like it doesn't.
Let me stop for a second. Is that part I don't necessarily hate, because he said from the beginning, and he told us right off that he's not going to do the origin again. Fine, great, go ahead.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, sorry.
So it feels like they're dropping you in on the 5th issue of an ongoing storyline where they keep beating you over the head in the first 15 minutes of this movie or whatever with the whole idea that, oh man, Superman intervened in this country and stopped a war. It's the first time anything this big has ever happened. It's like, why aren't we talking about it? Why didn't we not see that? It's like that feels like that's a much bigger thing to see, to get. Like you have that image in this movie of the kid raising the flag, and it's like, okay, that could have been your vintage Superman moment, which they shit the bed with at worse than you could possibly imagine. And it's like, how dumb are you, James Gunn, that you have this whole moment, that you market the whole one of the best trailers around that signature moment, and then you just totally we're not gonna have Superman show up. Spoilers. Who cares? It's like, let's just have Green Lantern show up and make some snarky comment. No, that's just bad. Unbelievably bad. And I'm sorry, but Hawk Girl's not a murderer. She doesn't screech like a bird when she flies around in the sky. And
that was so weird.
And what exactly is Hawk Girl? I don't really know. Why are you here?
No. That was so bizarre.
There was that.
And then her and Gardner and Mr. Terrific, when they're sitting around the Hall of Justice, they're just like lounged and laid out doing nothing when there's all this other stuff going on.
Yeah, and I didn't like Jimmy Olsen's not a chick magnet. I'm sorry, he's not. That's the antithesis. That no, I didn't believe for a second that this version of Lex Luthor would have Eve Tessmacher as a girlfriend. Like he's too proud, he's too egotistical, he thinks too highly of himself to be dating a bimbo. And the fact that she's even goofier and ditzier than the Eve Tessmacher from the 1978 version says a lot.
But she was more intelligent than you thought. She was getting all the information, and the question is, was it on purpose?
Was it on purpose though, or was it?
I don't know.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, and the thing, that he keeps feeling the need to ruin potential moments with dumb humor, like the idea that Jimmy is genuinely hesitating on whether or not he's going to accept all the goods on Lex just because he might have to spend the weekend with Eve in exchange. It's like, that breaks my immersion, because you keep putting in little dumb jokes like that just doesn't work.
And they make it completely dumb because he has a problem with her toes. Okay, yeah. How do you like this generation of selfie feet pictures on the internet do you have to get?
And then the logic
it was not needed.
The logic of introducing Supergirl as a drunk bar skank. I have no interest in seeing her movie now. What's that about? Oh, hi, I'm young. Later, bitch. I'm like, really? That's your Supergirl introduction?
And that's your next movie.
That's your next movie? And it's like, no. And let's just say it. Lex Luthor and his idiots who are just helping him destroy the world because we get why Lex is doing it, but I didn't feel that from any of his goons who were helping him do it. And I'm like, oh, so this is I know they wrote this movie a couple years ago and filmed it a year ago, but it's almost like they're imagining Elon Musk and Doge with all the dumb teenagers surrounding him doing whatever he wants him to do. And it's like, why are you people helping him do that? I'm not Lex, I get it. And I actually like Nicholas Hoult Lex. He was better than I thought he was going to be. But okay, I buy it. I can totally buy that he's genuinely that crazy and that unhinged, because as we find out in the movie, it's much more about, not as much about acquiring land or munitions or anything like that, which Lex is usually after. It's like, one of the core things in the comics is that Lex has an inferiority complex against Superman. He can't stand that. And even though Lex has done these amazing things, which could almost qualify to make him a metahuman for how intelligent he is,
really,
he still feels inadequate next to Superman. It's like, it would have been great if the story leaned into that more rather than reserving that for an angry rant at the very end of the movie. And it's like, And like you said, Superman's kind of a bystander in his own film. He doesn't really save the day in the end. and then they even violate their own logic. Where Mr. Terrific's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to be able to close this. I need Luther's code." And he's like, "Don't worry, I'll get the code." And then they completely forget about that. And
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific, spoilers, just hacks it anyway. It's like, wait, what? It's like,
Yeah.
what? You guys forgot that? I really didn't like Lois Lane in this. I thought she was used either as a soundboard for Superman to state his moral positions, or as a plot device to get things happening. And she's not even the one who breaks the big story. So it's like she was kind of there, and I thought she was kind of being bitchy during the interview. It's like, yeah, I get the interview questions that she's asking, and some of them are good questions, but it's like she's clearly, her tone that she's taking with him is so offended. And I'm like, you are dating this guy though, so you can't have that much of a moral problem with him if you're still. And that was another thing, the idea that they're dating, but she also knows that he's Superman. I'm like,
Just
oh,
3 months out as well. Three
three
Well,
months
months.
out.
and they're
Yeah.
also the whole thing that if you see it, like at the end when she goes into the train station or the whatever with Superman, everybody knows that she's dating Superman.
Yeah.
And for the 3 months, and we're like, that
Yeah,
she's
that was.
dating Clark, but
Yeah, and that's again something it seems they did for a dumb joke when Perry White turns to Jimmy. He's like, "So how long has that been going on?" He's like, "Oh, about 3 months." You know,
yeah.
okay. And just the level of tech that Lex has. It's like, oh, off the drop of a hat, I have created this pocket universe, and I have these portals all over the world. I'm like, what? I'm like, I get that Lex is powerful, but this is almost insane, and
Well,
they
I
don't want
thought
to
they
use
were
it.
boom tubes at the beginning. Is
Yeah,
that was way too much like a technology that's been used in Superman comics, but they've completely like moved it to a different.
and they didn't really
Yeah.
use this other dimension for anything interesting. It's like his own version of a Phantom Zone, basically. Like I was talking about this in my review on Thursday night with a friend, and he's like, "Oh, at least they didn't bring back the Phantom Zone." I'm like, "Well, they kind of did because that's
Yeah.
basically what this is." And then you have
Well,
Metamorpho there, and it's like, is Metamorpho from this universe? I'm not sure because we see later that he's sitting on a couch with this lady who I assume is like maybe his girlfriend or something.
so
And
Metamorpho, I
Mhm.
assume that that's probably his wife. Metamorpho is a character that exists. It's like this thing that he looked but didn't look, because number two they put Metamorpho in boxer shorts. Why?
yeah,
Why?
it's weird.
Um, but you know, Metamorpho is a character from a comic book called Batman and the Outsiders, right? Is so technically they've kind of introduced the possibility of like Batman and Robin and those other characters, all the other outsiders. Dazzler, I think, was possibly in that group. So yeah, let's pick a character and then do random other mess with it. Like even the engineer, like Lex's henchwoman bad guy. That's a character
Yeah,
that exists in the comics that they just plucked that image and possibly that name and did none of the things, the development that has occurred in the comics
oh,
with it.
that's the thing. There's virtually no character development
No,
whatsoever in this movie.
no.
And it's like, why? Who's this engineer person? Why are they already at the Fortress of Solitude? What? What? And
Yeah.
it's like if it was so easy that all you had to do was follow Superman, then why are you only waiting now? Because at one point, Superman tells Lex, "You have always been wrong about me," implying that they have a history.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you have this long history, and then why did it take you this long just to follow him back to Antarctica? If that's really all you needed to do to
Right.
find. So that doesn't track. And again, it's like at no point in this movie did I feel that really hopeful Superman vibe. Like again, the kid raising the flag. That's your vintage
No.
Superman moment. Yeah, you see him save a squirrel, which is like accurate to the comics, but it's like, no, I don't need to see Superman, catching a building or moving a lizard for the 100th time. I want to see something that really hits you. Like in Superman Returns, everything that he does in that movie, people complain there's not much action, but I didn't mind it because when moments when he does show up, it means something.
So
Here,
yeah, I
relentless
Yeah.
think
action.
Iconic
you
moments of heroism. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
could have fixed a lot of what I don't like about this movie if the kid had raised the flag and been the only, everyone else retreats, and the moment when Nathan Fillion comes in and Guy Gardner saves the day, if Superman, broken, beaten, whatever from his previous whatever he's doing, comes in and stands in front of the kid, like there's a big shell coming for the kid and
yeah,
busts across the S, and then John Williams' score comes up, damn right
yeah,
there. You could have fixed half of what's wrong with this movie. Here's what really gets me, and both of you alluded to it, and I'm glad that you did. Here's what I ask everybody who's seen the movie. Imagine this movie and take out the character of Superman, and what changes, what happens?
Nothing.
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 Nothing at all. He doesn't save the day. He goes back to Metropolis because it's Metropolis to save it from the giant rift. He does nothing. He doesn't save the rift. He doesn't go deep into the earth or the multiverse or the whatever to pull the thing apart. He doesn't get the code from Lex. He's sitting there, Kate, just having a really bad, dramatic fight with himself, with the clone him. Spencer has hit it right here on the map. They brought back the nuclear man. They made Ultraman, the clone of Superman, made from a clone from a single one of his hairs. They remade the worst Superman movie of all time, Superman 4. And I went back, I did look, I'm not just making shit up, is I went back and I watched 1978 Superman immediately after this to see, was it cornier than I remembered it being, whatever, was this the thing? And then I went back last night and I, to the chagrin of my family, made them sit through Superman 4 while I was watching that.
Oh dear.
And yes, and it's horrible. It's terrible, but it's what this movie is. It's Superman trying to do something for the world politics, intervene in this war between these two countries. And that's what it was. And at the end of Superman 4, at least, it's Christopher Reeve. He comes in there, and I allegedly, from the stories behind it, he interjected some of that storyline because of Christopher Reeve's personal political feelings. Is like, hi, Superman can't fix the world's politics. You know, it's people are going to have to want to do that on their own. Is the and they had a few of those moments, or they attempted to put a few of those moments in. The like street vendor or whoever who comes and pulls Superman out of the crater, who they fucking let get executed in front of Superman, and he does nothing to stop it. Are you out of your ever loving mind, James Gunn? Again, that is the moment where Superman needed to be Superman. And any moment you do that, you have taken away from his character. When he sends Guy Gardner instead of himself, when he's sitting there talking to Lois Lane in his apartment, her apartment, some apartment, I don't care, having a cup of cocoa while the Justice Gang is fighting this giant interdimensional imp outside his window. That's not Superman. They specifically, in the promo materials, reference a graphic novel, my personal favorite graphic novel of all time, called A Superman for All Seasons. The whole graphic novel is about how burdened upon Superman is, but how he feels that he has to do it, to do all the things for all the people all the time. He would not sit there, oh, they got that. No.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then
I mean, the visuals.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh no, you go first.
The visuals looked incredible out the back with the neon lighting. It would have been a great little fight to show on screen, especially because a lot of the film does happen during the day, which is good because often you find bad CG or bad editing covered by darkness, and it's an excuse to not have a great action scene. But it would have looked great. And he could have just spoken to Lois a little bit, had the cup of cocoa, and then flown out. It would have been nice. It's like Lois is supporting him. They're kind of in this together. Even though she's not super powered, she gets Clark to do super heroic stuff, which is one of his prime motivators. It was a weird miss.
And then the character assassination of his parents. Why? It's like, if you dwelled on that and did something with it, but they don't. They use it really quick for this really cheap fourth wall breaking theme of, oh, well, he's an alien, he's going to make it his new home immigrant thing, but they don't spend any time on that, so it doesn't really end up meaning anything. And it's like, really? You want to do that in the whole DC? I mean, this isn't a standalone movie. this is for the defining for your whole
Mhm.
DC universe going forward, and you've just decided to do this outright character assassination for nothing. And maybe if you had told an origin story where you're spending more time with him in Kansas stuff feeling out of place, it would have made some little more sense to try and tell that kind of story, but it doesn't fit here. And all
There
it is
is
an unnecessary character assassination.
there is no way that those two people, as defined is portrayed in this universe, raised that Clark Kent or that Superman. There
No.
is no way humanly possible. They made Ma and Pa Kent absolute
No.
morons.
I wasn't talking about them yet. I was
Oh,
talking
oh,
about his
oh,
parents.
the okay, the parents.
Jor-El.
Okay, I'm talking about.
I'm talking
Well,
about.
here's
I'll get to the Kents in a minute, but I meant Jor-El and Mar-El. Oh yeah, go here and kill everybody who opposes you and rule the world and all that. I'm like, that's a Zod thing. That's not a Jor-El thing.
well, what happens with that? That was a little bit of Man of Steel where he borrowed, because that was the kind of thing
Well,
that
that
they
was,
were talking
yeah,
about, as he was meant to be there and rule over the planet. But what bugs me about that scene is
it feels so
in,
much more
in
aggressive
the
in this one.
Superman robots and the entire AI technology of the Fortress has been working on this corrupted message for over 30 years, and Lex walks in and hacks it in 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Mm, way too much plot armor, convenience, whatever. No.
Well,
Yeah, and
Just
then
yeah, to the film's slight defense, I thought that it was kind of left open to interpretation whether Lex and his high-tech wizardry team actually kind of deep faked it, the final part of that message, to make his biological parents sound like they were, Machiavellian,
yeah, it seemed like
hostile
that was the thing, right?
invaders.
but then
So
they go back. That would have made sense if they did. But then it kind of, all the thing with the Pentagon people and everything else, like, no, my experts would know if that was a genuine message. That was the
It really
actual
was
thing.
so terrific. Lex couldn't have lied or bribed him into doing it. It's like, come on. And that was the
yeah,
thing.
should have worked on the
Why not
corruption
have one of the
angle.
bombshells in the Daily Planet say that Lex faked the message? It's like, why are we changing it? Like, what was the purpose of that? There really was none. And then, yeah, when you get to the Kents, it's like Ma Kent. She's like, oh yeah, the actress is like studied somebody or whatever for a Kansas accent. I'm like, no, lady, that's not a Kansas accent. It's like hick, 100% hick accent. And you have the one good scene with him and his dad and Pa Kent sitting on the porch the morning after, but that's like it. Like, there's nothing. You don't really get anything from them.
Well, that's the thing too, is Pa Kent is an absolute moron until you need him for that 1 second to give your amazing, deep, heartfelt message, and then it just comes out of nowhere. That didn't come out of that person. They conveniently, I don't think that Kansas was Kansas. They were really purposely putting him in, like, in an early 80s, late 70s wood paneled one room ranch that felt way more like Alabama than the vast prairies of Kansas. Yeah, I think maybe there was a cow there somewhere, but it wasn't the Kent farm that we've seen with the 2-story white farmhouse in the middle of these hundreds of acres of rolling hills, that everything is there. And let's, leave this momentous scene to a couple of actors who, I don't know. I mean, I think I've seen the dad in something somewhere before. He's a
It's been
character
a
actor
while.
from some, but you get him in the close up, and it totally pulled me out of the scene. Is one of his eyes is just sitting is just darting around the entire time he's giving the speech. It's just like it just wiggling and darting, and it's just like there have been so many iconic actors that have played Pa Kent, and you've chosen to take a reach here in the lore in letting Pa Kent be alive in during the time that Clark is Superman, and that's what you do with it. I mean, okay, give me all the grief that you want on the Kevin Costner's, like, no, just the holding out the hand and won't let him save him. Just give me all the grief you want to about that scene. How much more
Terrible.
impactful was that than this?
Oh yeah, Kevin Costner. That was just great. Pa Kent. I love him as Pa Kent.
He was,
Yeah,
and
he's a
you
great.
know, you've got other actors when they choose to have Pa still being alive is John Schneider as the Smallville Pa Kent. Um,
Eh,
what's the name of the actor, the super character actor that had been around forever that was in 1978 Superman? I can't think of his name,
I
but
can't really. I didn't care for that one actually.
I mean, it was just you've imparted all the values, and there's no way that this Ma and Pa Kent is what you've said before is just picking up the phone. Hey there, it's Clark. What we're
Oh,
doing?
Jesus,
It,
I couldn't. I'm like I can't with this. And then another thing I noticed is that one of the things people really complained about in Man of Steel was that Metropolis gets completely destroyed. This isn't Superman. Blah blah. Metropolis gets completely fucked 6 ways from Sunday in this movie, and
mm,
nobody's bothered by it. There's no clapback to that like there was with Man of Steel.
no,
It's like what are you talking about, guys? Lex completely
it
destroyed Metropolis.
split down the middle.
I mean, and it's like, but everybody's fine with it, and it's like, oh, but when Zack Snyder does it, oh, it's a problem. It's evil. It's dark. Oh, you shouldn't do this. It's like at least in Zack Snyder's version, there was character development. And there was a solid story there that you could follow. Here, it's like again, they're throwing, like you said, they're throwing a lot of stuff out there because they're trying to make it feel fun and sippy and like you're reading through this really fast-paced comic book. And James Gunn, stop casting your family in big roles in movies. Like, no, Sean Gunn is not Maxwell Lord. Granted, Pedro Pascal wasn't either, but no. And why is Max Lord sponsoring the Justice League thing on Earth? I don't know.
So that bothered the Sean Gunn cameo bothered me less than, this had already been done in Peacemaker apparently. The main like henchman guy, bad guy, arrest Superman guy is the same guy from the MCU that arrests Cap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Frank Grillo.
That
Yeah.
no, why? How confusing that people are going to
No, they won't.
completely associate that with being the exact same universe. Like, oh, that's the guy from Shield. Shield is arresting Superman.
No, I don't think they're gonna think that. They get DC's different.
Yeah. I think if you've got a recognizable actor like that, then just give the role to somebody else. Let a less experienced, less
Well,
recognizable
let him
face
be
do
in
it.
the movie, but why put him in the exact same role that he played in the other movie in the other entire other franchise? And I get that somebody said that I think he plays that and he was back in Peacemaker. And Spencer over here is going like Peacemaker was the best part of the film. No.
No.
Peacemaker, no.
Ugh.
No. Like I'm glad that he wasn't in it for more than he was, but the fact that that is the only part of the DCU that Gunn has chosen to keep, it just leads you down the rabbit hole into what he see that thankfully he wasn't in it more, because Peacemaker is what I was expecting him to do to the DCU from the trailers, is the level of crude humor and to the lowest common denominator whatever that was. And granted, people love that, think it's funny. It's not my cup of tea, but I understand that people do. And that has its place in Peacemaker, but keep it out of my Superman. You know, it's just little simple things like that just they don't get right. Why do you change Guy Gardner's hair color? I went back to look at the coloring in every single comic image that animated series that I can find, and Guy Gardner is a redhead. That, you put a bad wig on Nathan Fillion, why couldn't you dye it red? Why do we need to make it randomly blonde? Why is there's this random little silly change that we do? Now, a cat really looked at me before when I was saying that the supporting characters and the Justice Gang was some of the better part. Hawk Girl, not so much. The Scream, I was like, why are they turning her into Black Canary? I no idea. They're confused that they're different characters. But the one Guy Gardner scene where he shows up and he saves the kid, and then he starts, he's knocking tanks down with giant green middle fingers. That's Guy Gardner. Okay. That was where it was. I didn't dislike Nathan Fillion's portrayal of this. I think Nathan Fillion would have been far better used as an older Hal. He has played Hal in the animated. He's voiced in a lot of the uh, animated Superman, Death of Superman, and that sort of thing. It's Nathan Fillion as Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. And he did a fine job playing Guy Gardner. I'm sure that when he's turned loose, if there's decent writing in the Lanterns, he'll reprise it and do just fine. But you didn't make him look like Guy Gardner. That new costume does nothing to signify I'm a Green Lantern. It's not even green. I don't even think it has very much green on it, other than the ring.
Well, his and Mr. Terrific's costume both look a bit 80s to me.
Yeah, is they're wearing motorcycle jackets. Now for Mr. Terrific, it kind of works. But anyway, but how I was saying that they've saved it. Mr. Terrific, his fight scene, badass. Okay, he just goes through it. He's got his techno bubble over Lois, and he's going through and tearing up Lex's military crony contractor people. Fine. He's a genius. He's the one that got the code. He's the one that understood it's a pocket universe. He saved the pocket universe. He's the one that shows up once Superman. All he did was convince Metamorpho to let him out, to give him back his power, to let him out of the cage. But then he had zero plan on how to get out of the pocket universe. It's like, oh, we're screwed. Mr. Terrific shows up. That's, explains the whole. That's why does Superman, they just completely nerfed his powers on everything. Mr. Terrific is the one who stopped the kaiju, where Superman's just kind of moving it around and playing and messing with it. Now I get we want to show that Superman doesn't want to kill. He doesn't want to kill it. He doesn't want to hurt it. But again, it's a giant kaiju creation-y, not even, and he doesn't do that. Then
where did it come from exactly?
What's that?
Where did it come from exactly? Like, where did they get this thing?
Right. Yeah. No idea.
Just is it in a box in the back of the
created?
van?
Did it exist in the pocket universe?
And it's like Mr. Terrific shows up. I'm like, I've never heard of this character before. Who the hell's Mr. Terrific? And what's he do? What the hell? I don't know. I guess I just gotta roll with it.
Well, they pulled this. This is a character. He's been around. They pulled.
But they don't really establish these things. Like, oh, here's this guy, and if you haven't heard of him, let's face it, he's never been in a movie before, so nobody's really heard of him in the casual audience. But here it is.
They pull from a random obscure comic and they make something that they want to do what it does. And in this case, it actually worked.
And that was another weird thing. All the people working at the beach, it's like, okay, they're working with Lex. They see him taking their prisoners in there or whatever. But then after Mr. Terrific pulls Superman out, he stays behind to tamper with it. And one of the employees walks back in there to say, can you stop it? I'm like, wait a minute, so you're friends now?
Yeah.
You just wiped out all these people to get in here. And now they're like cool with you hanging out and okay.
Right. It's a lot of loose ends and weirdnesses. I mean, they made Lex look far more like Elon Musk, who has taken these technologies and used other people. They don't give you the sense that he is such an innate genius where, Gene Hackman played it for laughs. He played it silly. But you got the impression that he's doing all of these things and he is the mastermind and he's doing it himself. This is just like, somebody, it really kind of made Lex, what is my superpower? Not my intelligence. It's my money. I have the amount of money. I think they underdeveloped the plot that, again, they stole directly from the original Superman movies, where he wants this part of this country to turn into Lutherland or whatever.
Lutheria.
Yeah. And the real Lex Luthor would not be satisfied with some like piece of desert in a country in, where is it, the Middle East, Asia,
Well,
you know,
it
where,
was there, but they mentioned that he's after the petroleum there as well because
right,
it would vastly increase the investment that he's made from giving him free weapons. It would just wipe the
Yeah.
profits would just wipe that out from the amount of petroleum he's getting from that
yeah, well,
stretch of desert.
exactly, Otisburg. But I'm saying that Luther's ego in 78 Superman, he wanted California. He
Yeah,
wanted it here, right? Where he's forefront up front. The whole subplot was just a thrown away part of a subplot, and then they use it to take Superman's character down even more, to where he takes the guy out and butts him up against a cactus, which Lois calls him out for. Even that's not really, an okay thing to do. That's not a thing Superman would have done.
yeah,
It's
Yeah, it's a bit torture adjacent, if not torture
exactly.
itself.
And the Lois character, I didn't mind her acting. I did like the fact that they did not make her Margot Kidder's Lois, which was taken from a very early round of the comics, which was like way back towards the 40s, the 50s Lois, where she's just the damsel in distress and she's in something that he has to rescue her, like, every 20 minutes. I respect the fact that they made her a more modern character than that. They did
True.
pull a little bit more of reality. Is she was in a very tight, cramped, small apartment, not the vast palatial place that Lois always had in the 70s and 80s Superman movies. It was far more real. But other than that initial like interview thing where they were going back and forth, you really didn't see a whole lot of anything of her. Lois is supposed to be a main character in this deal, and she's not. She flies around in Mr. Terrific's thing. She goes and talks to Guy Gardner to emphasize how dumb Guy Gardner is, because he overshares his knowledge about Superman and things. But then, do you catch that she does the same thing when she's in the spaceship with Mr. Terrific, and then she overshares about her relationship with Clark to Mr. Terrific, for no reason whatsoever.
yeah, for a joke,
Yeah.
for the
Oh,
joke of Mister Terrific saying, "I don't really do human emotions" or whatever it is.
and then you
Yeah.
get the rest of the joke. Okay, the one joke I thought that it was a funny levity light moment. It was an over the top joke. Was how slow the garage door was.
Mm,
Okay,
eh,
Yeah, that was great. That was very
that was,
good.
that was a moment. But
Mhm.
the in the pocket dimension, Lex has literal monkeys
that was bad. That
doing,
was
like,
Yeah, why?
thousands of literal monkeys doing the
the
being
social
Yeah,
bots
network.
on
Yeah,
Twitter. Is like, those are supposed to
yeah.
be actual, I mean,
He had his
literal
yeah,
monkeys. And then
yeah,
later, for the cheap joke, the literal monkeys survive and Crypto is chasing them around.
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because he had the team of hackers and cyber criminals doing all his deeds and, like reenacting every single move Superman's had in the past to analyze it so that his villains can actually defeat Superman in hand-to-hand combat. That was all kind of fun. He was like the tech guy who was domineering over people. So it would have been simple just to show like a throwaway. You could have a whole warehouse full of people just, manufacturing outrage online. It
Yeah,
would have
make
been
make him
fine.
more
Because,
evil and make him
yeah,
like be essentially running like a slavery camp where he's
yeah,
got a bunch of people. Like, if he were making all of the prisoners or whatever that he had, just, oh, here's the ex-girlfriend is in this cube over here, and all the people who said bad things, force them to do something. But hundreds or thousands of literal monkeys in a pocket dimension. And then the pocket dimension with this river of anti-proton bad whatever stuff going through the bottom. We just made this to like look dramatic. Is what, can we do that with CGI? Yes, we can. Let's do it. When the
Yeah,
rift comes to Metropolis, is when the rift comes to Metropolis, it comes in so fast across the river and it's rolling in. It hits the first building and it splits it. It gets there, and then the fight the rift slows down conveniently. Instead of just ripping through the entire city, it takes it forever. The entire length of the fight.
Yeah.
I, oh,
yeah, it's kind of convenient, right? Kind of convenient.
I just don't
You
particularly
know,
get it. Sorry.
historically, when you have a disaster movie, you normally just pick one physical, climatological disaster: a volcano, an earthquake, a tsunami. You've got everything going on here. Plus, they have a black hole. What? They end up having a
Yeah.
singularity, which he has to then rescue himself from. And okay, I like the fact that he was had a bit more interaction with crypto, because it felt like there was a lot of crypto at the beginning and then not much for a lot of the film. But it's too much happening all at the same time, as if he couldn't really decide on a single motivating factor or plot point. So he decided to throw everything at the screen and hope some of it sticks, I guess. I don't really know what the psychology would have been behind that, what the creative decision was, to just have dozens of things happening at the screen at the same time. And
Well,
again, like we said, it completely sidelines Clark. He's completely taken out of the main primary, dilemma and conflict of the film, which is the conflict in the kind of vague Middle East, Eastern European
yeah.
area with the two nations. You could have actually said something decent with in relation to kind of geopolitics, and have it relevant to our world and what's going on in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe. But it kind of just meanders away from saying anything important. And Clark
Well,
doesn't represent anything important either. He's not somebody who's a symbol of hope, but also, maintaining and restoring peace to areas. And it is summarized in the moment we mentioned at the beginning with the kid with the the Superman flag. It
yeah.
was a perfect moment, um, for Clark for Superman to come and lift a nation that's being oppressed and,
Well, they
you know,
take that away throughout.
occupied
Their
illegally.
their theme and the entire reason that I got to see this movie early was Amazon Prime members got the privilege of buying tickets that went to charity, that went to the Boys and Girls Club through Amazon Prime. If you were a member, you could buy tickets to the sneak preview like days before it was. I think it was on Tuesday. Because the theory in the previews, the whole thing is like anyone can be Superman, right? Is that is a message that got lost in there because they literally executed the literal real person
Yeah.
who stepped up and was brave to go in there and help, and everybody else is like, no, you can't do it, and he goes in and then they execute him. They go against the message, like that. I thought was the message when they were bringing Superman into. Yes, exactly. Like that was where we lost that. Here's our integration and unifying in the Force. Broom Boy, they're trying to say that anyone can have the Force, that anyone could be a Jedi, that anyone can be Superman.
Well,
And
anyone with the Force can be a Jedi, because Jedi is just a religion. If you're Force sensitive, it didn't say anybody. Didn't say that everybody has the Force. Just that kid happens to have it.
well, but it's just that it could be in anyone and not a Skywalker. That what they did was they went
Well,
and
that was established in the.
they
That was already
retconned
established in the prequel.
Ray.
That was already
And
established in the prequels, though, that anybody not named Skywalker could be a, case in
right.
point. The Jedi go out and find people and they bring them there. So.
Well, but in
Yeah.
in the in the sequel trilogy, they were trying to re-go as like, oh, Ray is a nobody, or then they retconned it and she's a Palpatine and yada yada blah. But they're trying to put that over, and that's supposedly their theme, and that was their theme with the advertisements. There, I don't know, was there a preview like that had the everyone Superman or Superman in the showings that you guys saw, or was that just only in the
No.
one for the Boys and Girls Club?
I didn't
I
see
didn't have
that. No.
So anyway, there was like literally they shot this whole thing and then they go away from it. Like I was not from the trailers I thought we were going to get, because they didn't show us the war in the Middle East or whatever the geopolitical thing. They were showing us more of what I didn't think I was going to enjoy, but I would have enjoyed more than the hodgepodge of what it became, was bringing Superman into our world, which is the downfalls of the social media and people holding Superman responsible for him saving everybody. It's like, oh, you can't even help anybody out without someone taking offense to that. And I was like, well, that's actual real. And that's probably really what would happen if there were a Superman in this world here today, is he would have lawsuits all over the place. And yeah, okay, I get that. The you know, public opinion being turned against him and the guy throwing the can at the back of his head. That's what I thought the majority of the movie was going to be about. If the trailers had then led to a cohesive movie,
Yeah.
is that would have been your plot. And that'd have been better than throwing 6 other things in there. It's just too much. It's like what Spencer has been saying, is James Gunn is a one-trick pony. Is James Gunn is going to remake Guardians of the Galaxy over and over again. And it worked amazing for Guardians of the Galaxy, but it doesn't work for Superman.
Yeah.
I want to see. I know that I think Corn Sweat has already said that he's contracted for Superman 2. Okay. Please, dear Lord, let someone other than James Gunn direct it. Is give me another story and another director and keep it in this light universe. Fine. Don't make it dark. Don't make it gritty. I don't think Corn Sweat actually gets it, because I've seen an interview with him where they were saying, oh, you might be playing this character for quite some time if this movie is successful, which it, by all accounts, it looked like it's going to be. Where would you like to see Superman goes? And he says, well, I think that you could do something and tell a really interesting story if we get like an R-rated Superman movie. It's, no, you're wrong.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No,
Don't do that.
you're wrong. Do not.
With James Gunn, it'll feel like Deadpool. We don't need that with Superman.
Right. No, we do not need Superman and Deadpool. It's like, that is not the...
Yeah.
Yeah, they need someone else to write the next film as well, because a lot of these issues are to do with the writing. The performances are
like
pretty
I
good.
said, is I think he was very scattershot, and somebody went out there and James Gunn got his people, gave him this selection of Superman comics, and he looked at 2 pages of each one and threw something together and like grabbed 2 pages from this and 2 pages from that. And they were very deep dive ones. I mean, literally to choose the engineer as your villain, who in the comics, not exactly a villain, more of like a, neutral kind of person, and still to choose for your opening movie a villain that is that obscure that I, who have been reading Superman since the 80s, had never heard of.
Right. I'm glad I wasn't alone in thinking that.
It's like,
Same thing with Mr. Terrific. It's like, how many casual fans have heard of Mr. Terrific?
Yeah.
Or a Hawk Girl thing. It's like, no.
Well, and you chose to bring in Hawk Girl without Hawk Man. Why are the two separate? There's a lot of things that are just not explained. There are people that are going to be starting to deep dive, and as this comes out, more people see it and more bootleg copies of it are available. There's a lot of other lore in this universe that's going to happen that was just kind of glossed over. Like the opening crawl. There was an opening crawl, and that was kind of weird. That metahumans have been around for 3,000 years. and Superman's been going for 3 years, and there have been superheroes and like in the fortress of not the fortress in the Hall of Justice, or yeah, that there was apparently a mural, and you can see if you pick out closely some familiar golden age superheroes that are depicted in the mural. So it may be the Justice Society.
Hmm.
So is he going to have a flashback or a back in time, a prequel kind of movie to do that? Maybe. I mean, you could see that sort of thing going as well. But there's so many little, let's throw random Easter eggs in and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
It's just,
And again, it just hits back on the main thing, is that it's a movie where if you take Superman out, nothing changes.
Yeah.
That's the big issue.
Nothing at all changes. I mean, Lex's motivation would change slightly, because if there were no Superman, it would just be world domination. It's a Pinky and the Brain movie, as opposed to inferiority of Superman. Or would he take over the same thing about, would he be jealous of Guy Gardner?
Yeah, you'd just be picking on Justice Gang then.
Yeah, it's the same thing. He might have succeeded the first time in taking over the other country, as nobody would have stopped him. But just, I mean, in 1978, as corny, as cheesy, as bad as it was, Lois dies. Superman loses his mind and literally, the science was completely off, reverses the rotation of the Earth and takes it back in time to save her and to, save the day. And he's just punching up on the other guy. And then here's a moment that a lot of people have said were great, is what, Superman was holding back and he wasn't powerful. But when he gets it, when the Raptors come in, he just turns loose. It's like, weren't those people?
Yeah, they're just regular people. And
He
Yeah, they should have made them robots.
to turn loose and kill.
Well, that's the thing, because they do that contrived shot afterwards where it shows them all falling to the ground, moving around, aching like they survived. It's like, no, you would be dead.
No, he literally cut them in half with with laser heat vision.
Yeah, it was an incredible scene, but they undercut it immediately, which happens a lot in the film.
Don't worry, they're okay. They're still alive on the ground. It's like, no.
That's literally, again, that's
just
literally what they did in Superman 4. I watched it and I've totally forgot about this scene, because the Superman 4 is the only one of the original Superman that I saw in theaters. Okay. And I was young enough. I know.
Unlucky.
Like, I was not. But you remember a different thing when you're that age. What did it come out in? Like 1987?
87, I think.
Yeah. So you remember different things. But anyway, like Lex, to get out of prison, he's, breaking rocks in a rock quarry there, and his nephew comes in. His nephew, who I thought was absolutely hilarious in hindsight now, is John Cryer. Okay. John Cryer comes in, this little teeny bopper dude, and he imprisons the prison guards in his car, and remote control car, and drives it off a cliff. It flips upside down, pancakes, and explodes. And then in the next scene, you see the guards climbing back over the cliff in all the rock dust and stuff, because heaven forbid you kill someone. So they made that, but I find it ironic that John Cryer was Lex Luthor's nephew, where he becomes Lex Luthor or he plays Lex Luthor in against Tyler Hoechlin. Isn't John Cryer the Lex Luthor in that universe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Krypto beating up on Lex at the end is just, Hulk smashing Loki.
Yeah, in a high tower looking over the city. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and then Crypto has to chase the monkeys from the Pocket Universe who survive.
Well, I'm not sure anything would have killed them. They weren't in any danger. I mean, they're just sitting on their little computer racks.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but then you put them back into, and they're running around the city, and then Crypto has to chase them, and it's like, let's throw randomness in. It's like how many hundreds of thousands of dollars did that shot cost?
Well, that's the story of almost every shot in this movie. Is so much did they really need to spend all that money on that interdimensional being outside the window while Clark is putting his boots on and talking to Lois? No,
Nope.
they just did it anyway.
Didn't need to be there. Didn't need to happen.
And again, I still question the logic in having your first introduction to Superman, both in the trailer and in the movie, is him just beat to shit. And it's like,
Yeah.
I get that you want to put down that whole negative attribute where people are like, oh, we just don't want him to be like Superman, where everybody's perfect. It's like, I get that, but you're taking it to, again, the nth degree, where the times you need him to show up and be Superman, he's not doing it because you keep nerfing him.
Well, I don't think that people understand that Superman is nerfed. Okay, Superman, classic Superman, his powers are nerfed by his own choosing.
Yeah.
He down powers himself, like he would not kill the kaiju.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
That's Superman. He's not going to do that. Is Superman in all the other things is he won't kill. I never lie. That's a line from the 78 Superman. That is where that is supposed to come from. Is his humanity is what does that. And everybody who's like politicizing this and going, oh, it's woke and that's why it's like, no, Superman's always been an immigrant. It's always been that he's from a strange being from another world, but he's also become an American. He, in the original, he's here to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. And I understand that needs to go away in this modern worldly society. Doesn't make him as relevant anymore. But in Superman 4, again, the worst of the Superman, you show him as a citizen of the world. He opens the scene by saving cosmonauts on the Russian space station, and he speaks directly back to them in Russian. When the nuclear man is setting off a volcano in Italy, he goes and he saves the group huddled in front of the church, and the priest blesses him and he responds in perfect Italian. And there are other ways to do what James Gunn sought to do here in better. And the whole, again, Mr. Terrific being the savior of this movie, Superman's fighting the clone of himself down underground in Metropolis, and Mr. Terrific just flies by. It's like, hey, come on, just quit napping or whatever. It's like, we got stuff. Like, I got important stuff to do down here. That is not a line that Superman goes.
Yeah, that was so strange. That was
is
weird.
just like, all right, back in the fight, let's go, or something. The fact that he has zero control over Crypto, I really think, and I don't think people of the generation in their,
by the way, Spencer commented that, by the way, on the Crypto thing on the.
Oh yeah, all right, we go. Crypto is very much like Milo from The Mask when he has the mask of Loki on. It's like he's uncontrollable thing. This is again one of those things that James Gunn saw something in a comic and made it and did whatever. And you change some of the things. Crypto is Superman's dog. He is not Kara's dog. He is not Superman. She had a cat named Streety or something like that. But this is a level of Superman has no control over the dog because he's not putting in any time with it, or he's not, using the correct like dog relationship as be the alpha or be, he doesn't do the things that you need to. And it's really, and doesn't even particularly appear to love it until the way end, like,
Well, when he decides that he has to turn himself in, because he says he has to find the best way of finding the dog. He says, "Oh, it's probably alone and scared."
Yeah, right. It's this that is the point where it gets, and that's probably some of the better part when he gets that. But that
Yeah,
again,
that's a
just
Superman thing. That's a Superman thing to say and think. That he
yeah.
would do
Yeah,
that
to
when
have
he
some
saves the squirrel.
compassion. Yeah.
But would he do it the way he does, which is get on bad on the social media by busting into Lex's office and yelling at him like that? Um, that's I don't understand how people in their 20s and 30s are not offended by the way that James Gunn and by other people depict that generation of just being completely about their just doing, yelling out, lashing out, doing this, doing that, having no control over their pets or their lives or whatever is going on as they're just kind of going with. I don't understand. Yes, make him human and real and relevant to a generation, but why are we stereotyping this entire generation into this is what happens and this is what they do? You know, I
They should have had a Superman Crypto team up that had more significance, and it goes back to with Superman's influence on the film, which is not much. Um, the moment that he takes out all of he does the heat vision circle spinning move, which looked amazing, but was
yeah,
problematic for the reason that we mentioned.
yeah,
um, but to go back and have that finale, why not take the Ultraman Superman battle that's in the sort of pocket dimension as it's spinning out of control, and have you could even go a little bit crazy and have Superman, suddenly get a moment where he hears that there's a kid maybe on the other side of the world who's in trouble, and he thinks, that goes back to the geopolitical conflict I was trying to stop in the first place. Let me go there. Then you have him have his moment to actually be the savior, and have
yeah,
Ultraman come along as well. Ultraman follow him
right,
through, flying around, and then have your climactic duel there in the desert. Conveniently, there's a huge part of desert that doesn't have any people in, so you
right.
can go crazy with a super fight.
But right
And
there is again,
yeah,
you have written a better movie than James Gunn, which is right there. We're in the middle of the fight in Metropolis. We're like Superman like calls out to Mr. Terrific. It's like, I need you to handle this. Bust the big one, just lets loose on Ultraman and puts him into orbit that gives him time because he heard the kid, the super hearing, and big fancy scene of going all out, breaking the sound barrier, boom. And he arrives just in time because somebody, I mean, even if it's like a simple single bullet, like one of the bad guys fires one bullet at the kid and you just see it bust across the symbol.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
don't even get me started on the new symbol, but
that's from the
yeah.
comics too, though,
It's
right?
like
so yes and no. The new symbol is again looking at something, not understanding it, and then using it for your own purposes that are completely different than the comic. So I don't hate it as much. There are so many other things that are badly about it, but if you take the yellow away from this symbol, you basically have the Superman Kingdom Come. It's a graphic novel of like a dystopian future with superheroes and stuff like that. Is that symbol? It's the antithesis of what James Gunn is attempting to do. That is the most serious, gritty, raw, dystopian Superman ever. Well, maybe outside of what I consider is less of a Superman universe, Superman, and more of a Batman use, like the Dark Knight Returns. Is like this Superman Kingdom Come is the antithesis of what he's talking about, but he chooses that to have that symbol. Yes, Bruce. So we went over. You're a little late to the party. Is I thought this movie was in many aspects better than what I went in anticipating, but I still very much disliked many aspects of it. It all of us felt that this was a bunch of stuff strung together that made no sense and had no logic and was in general given up having any sort of plot for to stick in a cheap joke.
And we felt it's a movie where you take out Superman and nothing changes.
Yes, absolutely. That's the
Does
biggest
not
thing. Is
affect any
Yeah,
symbol change in the
your
story.
protagonist is your protagonist is inconsequential to the themes and story of the film.
yeah, and
That's
that's
a
just
bit of a problem.
too many things. Visually great, fine, acting passable, and even good in many cases, but the
Yeah.
things that were chosen to do to the character of Superman and really to Superman's character, big misses, big misses, big misses.
Yeah.
Right. So let's try and look at a couple of positives then.
Okay. Yes,
So
indeed. So let's hear your positives, Gio.
I think it definitely feels like you're landed in a graphic novel at times, both visually and due to the fact that it's chaos all around. It's definitely got that fantastical flair that you might want in some interpretations of Superman and in the general aesthetic of a comic book film, which is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, it it's very clearly a potential platform to a new cinematic universe, which you can kind of then not mind some of the decisions made because you can see they're trying to go for a total relaunch. Um, the CG for the most part looked good.
Hmm.
It was integrated well. I think the shots of the city, um, were believable, and the the actual moments of kinetic action were pretty good as well. It did feel like you had moments where you really felt the impact of Superman's, fisticuffs, which is what you want to feel, and some versions of Superman on screen haven't really translated that very well.
Superman 4.
Um, yeah, um, you you do feel like Superman is in jeopardy, which is kind of a film blessing and curse.
Mm.
It feels like there are stakes involved, and a couple of times he's very vulnerable. The timing in which you show that is strange. As we mentioned, the first theatrical trailer is the first shot of the film, where he's broken apart in the Antarctic, and Crypto comes to the rescue.
Which again, you immediately take away something that's that serious for the moment of humor with the dog just jumping on him.
Yeah, I think the sound design was pretty good, um, and the editing in that sense. I'm really glad James Gunn, for the most part, held back on splattering random songs all across the film,
He did.
because that really would have taken you out.
Well, I
Um,
saw an interview today, or at least an allusion to it, that I think it was with Gunn himself, that they had to show the movie, or at least parts of the movie, to John Williams, where they were interjecting the original theme because he had to sign off not on the entire movie, but sign off on the parts of the movie where you were using his theme.
right, but okay, I can see how, and I'm glad they did that for John Williams' sake, because he's a huge part of the cinematic Superman experience. You cannot have Superman without feeling that theme and knowing it if you've, watched from the 1978 one. I think, but it comes back to a negative I have actually, and that is you're teasing 4 or 5 notes of the John Williams soundtrack,
Mm,
but then you take it away, and there's this kind of synth electric guitar sound to it, which doesn't really go with the kind of symphonic classical, you know, heroic sound that you have from John Williams. And there, it also speaks back to not having Superman have many, you know, Superman moments, because it would have been awesome to actually have the original theme unadulterated kick
yeah.
in the finale.
Again,
It's
when he saves the kid with the flag
Yeah, when
theme.
he does his saving bit.
Which he
um,
do in the movie, just for those to keep catching up.
yeah. I thought Mr. Terrific was good. I thought he was very charismatic. I had no idea who he was before the film, but I liked the use of technology for the most part until he becomes an impromptu software developer and solves it with code to save the universe. That was very
Yeah.
strange, and that's actually a big kind of plot issue. But the acting was good with what little script they had. I think David Corenswet looks and sounds like Superman. I think Rachel Brosnahan is good as Lois. She's kind of, has that verve and energy about her. It would have been good for her to have more impact on the end of the film. I thought it was great how Mr. Terrific and her kind of had this buddy cop thing going on, and he trusted her with his UFO ship.
Yeah.
But she didn't have a moment to really do anything significant in the end. Like her and the Daily Planet crew were just onlookers, bystanders again. It was interesting what they did with Jimmy Olsen. That I don't know if there's a comic book version where he's this low key hotshot that all the women love. It was strange, but I guess it made his character more relevant or important, which I thought was interesting. All the Daily Planet stuff was good. The integration of like modern society and social media being problematic, and also having a big influence on people's perceptions, both of Superman and of generally the kind of meta-human goings on. Wendell Pierce is a phenomenal actor who was wasted. I have to say that. Yeah, Perry
Yeah.
White could have been
Yeah.
incredible, which comes back to the script again.
Did you
Yeah,
hear
so
what he said in an interview about
it's
his
tough.
character?
Mm-mm.
No, tell
I haven't
us.
seen the interview.
Apparently, James Gunn said his version of Perry White hates Lex Luthor because Lex had an affair with Perry's wife, and Perry wonders if his second child is his or Luthor's. And that's why Perry hates Luthor. I'm like, none of that comes across whatsoever in this movie.
Yeah, what? Was that taken out in the first draft? I'm
I
glad
don't
it
know.
was. If so, I'm glad it was.
I'm like, where does that? Why would you even write that?
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah.
Here, Bruce
So-
gives it some breakdown ratings. Here, highlight that, Dave.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Is after Gio's done with his review, is like let's look at Bruce's review. The effects 4 out of 5. Okay. The Capes' story or Superman story 2 out of 5. Heroes villain showing tears. Yeah. Video game moves. It's just like the whole thing where Lex is controlling the entire thing of the bad guy like a video game. Just
It was so distracting from the action.
and then
The few moments
they're
they
just
had looked
Daily
alright.
Planet and crew, and they're distracting because in so many versions in the comics that would have been Lex. They're showing, it really is Lex fighting Superman. Well, give him the bio suit like he's always had, the big Lex suit.
Yeah.
But no, as he's fighting him in a different way again, like they're making him into Elon Musk. That's the level of character, and
That would have been kind of weird to have him in a big bio suit, wouldn't it?
well, they had the guy in the big bio suit when he was the thing of Baravia when he was disguised. They had him in the Hulkbuster suit essentially.
Ultraman when he's only doing the disguise, but then later on he just fights him as Ultraman.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mr. Terrific has been a hero for a very long time. It's just obscure enough that we have not heard him. His first appearance was in Sensation Comics in 1942.
Okay.
So, yes. And at that point, he was a self-made millionaire, Olympic level athletic skills, martial arts master, and photographic memory and stuff like that. He was killed off in the Justice Society, but there's a second Mr. Terrific that has been around since 1997. So that's, I assume, what this current Mr. Terrific is. So it's been in a lot of different groups, been in the Justice Society, the Justice League, Checkmate, All-Star Squadron, Black Lantern Corps, and again, where I think we may see him, I think this is possibly planned, is having a Terrifics movie. that
Okay.
that sort of thing may be coming, and to movie, TV show, something is I hope that we get to see him more and get more
Again,
out of it.
yeah, he was very good. That was one of the strong
Yeah,
points of the movie.
I think, and I don't know if it's a grand story, or I don't know if either thing would work at this point. James Gunn has basically tried to recreate the MCU in this new DC universe, but he's doing it backwards by giving you Infinity War and then maybe going back and giving you some different stories with the individual characters. I'd love to see these characters in another movie with another ones. Um, I would like Mr. Terrific, especially. Um, Lanterns, I'm not opposed to. I don't really need it or want it. I don't want it to turn into Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern. Um, I want to see the Superman crew, Superman, Lois, Jimmy, Perry, in a movie not directed by James Gunn. But what we know we're getting next from the Thing is drunk Supergirl. I don't want.
Please don't. Please don't.
I don't. Oh, it's gonna happen. That is their next movie. I think it's really.
She
It
goes on parties
probably
in red
already
sun
has
planets.
happened because I think it's scheduled for a year from now.
Yeah, sometime next year.
So
Yikes.
I mean, it's probably already happened.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
doesn't sound like
That's gonna kill it, I think.
cinematic
That's not gonna.
storytelling.
I don't think that's gonna work very
They
well.
should make that like an
Li-
obscure TV show that's
Literally a
packed off
year
to the
from now,
side.
June 26, 2026, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Woman of Tomorrow being the drunk bar skank is a woman of tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. She flies to other planets so she can experience drunkenness because they have
Mm.
a red sun, not a yellow sun, potentially in their solar system. Okay, James Gunn. All right. Do you think he has an obsession with pulling obscure characters from the peripheries of comic books? Because you could argue, I mean, Guardians was like that, but
Yeah.
that's almost part of the charm. Here, it's kind of like he's again clutching at straws, trying to do too many things. Um, oh,
Like I
another thing
said,
I had actually that
the
did bug me.
it bills this bills as DCU's Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. So they've like Marvel's Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. This is Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters.
Okay, let's have
So
Superman feeling like a
it
god
is
then.
scheduled. There's apparently other stuff on the docket as well. September 11th,
Mm.
2026 is Clayface.
Yeah, Clayface. That looks like it's gonna be interesting, like a body horror type film.
Yeah, is I think, and whether the question
That will be in the
is
Batman
that going to
universe,
be
maybe.
in the Superman universe, or is that going to be in the
I,
Batman universe?
Batman. Yeah.
or it might be just its own Elseworlds thing.
Mm.
Are they willing
Um,
to do that though, or are they gonna just
Now,
throw
here is
everything
an
on the?
interesting
Mike
thing that
Flanagan wrote it, so it's going to be a better script.
well,
Mhm.
there is an interesting thing that someone mentioned, and it's the internet. You can't believe to where possibly this universe, this DC universe is not ours. This Earth is not our universe. That
Okay.
it takes place elsewhere. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't want them to go down that rabbit hole of Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's a thing. And will that become a thing? Because again, their other scheduled project would be October 1st, 2027 is the schedule for the Batman Part 2,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
we know is, or no, is supposed to know, is not the same universe as this.
No, it's
So
not.
are they already setting up that they have multiple universes that they're going to eventually, in part whatever that they do,
I don't think. I think they already mentioned the notion of Elseworlds is that it's not a separate universe, as in multiverse. It's like completely separate thing that has nothing ever possibly to do with the other.
Mm.
Because when you say separate
Okay.
universe or multiverse, then that means it's still in the same universe. Whereas this
Yeah.
is like, no, it's a
Yeah.
completely different thing. And
Yeah,
Matt
parallel.
Reeves says that James Gunn came to him as recently as like December of 2023, I think, or somewhere around there, asking him, "Can we please make the Batman, canon to DCU?" And he's like, "No." It's like it's not like no, it's
Yeah,
not happening.
I would hope not.
And
Even
he just
though not I'm not going to say yet that I am a fan or not a fan of the Batman because again, I've not been able to make it through it. I'm really literally on attempt number 8.
great
But
movie, Dave. It's
It's
great.
really
and
good
I believe you and
cinematically.
respect your opinion. I respect that universe because I love the Penguin show. Thought that was great. But the movie itself is for reasons of changing the character of Bruce Wayne and stuff as I haven't been able to make it through. But yeah, it's
That's smart.
okay. Spencer Jones, I think they made Crypto just uncontrollable, just thinking of a way at having a show about a drunk. I don't.
Hmm.
Crypto saved the movie. I thought that was going to be the worst. That was the most semi-lovable, believable part of the thing. It's just like, oh, the dog. I mean, I don't agree with the way that they have Superman interacting with the dog but
Mm-hmm.
the dog was cute. That is why I have flipped the paper on mine to the Crypto headline. There's a Superman headline on the other side of this paper, but I like the Crypto headline. They did go all out. Like if you even like open this and it has a real coin slot, and you look like they put a sticker of a stack of papers all the way at the bottom.
Mm.
So there's like really a stack of papers all the way at the bottom of the popcorn bucket. It's very snazzy. It's nice little,
Yeah.
Mm.
So what's Crypto's whole deal? Because I think they should have had a little bit on how and why he is the way he is.
I would assume that potentially since they introduced him as being Kara's dog, as Supergirl's dog, that we will get some more of that story possibly in Supergirl. I would
Right.
hope. I mean,
But as comics go,
Crypto in comics, the way Crypto came out from that period in the late 60s, early 70s, where there was a super everything. We have Supergirl, we have Superboy, we have Streaky the Super Cat. There was a super horse that wore a big white horse that wore wore a little cape. So it's all sorts of different things. Like what his origin is to originally, I don't know. I wasn't around and reading comics in at that point. I
sure.
just assume it came from all the other ones. Let's see what the internet has to say over here about Crypto's origin. Crypto the Super Dog is a superhero dog appearing in DC Comics, associated with Superman, depicted as Superman's pet, a white dog with powers similar to Superman's. First appearance and origins made his debut before I thought. So maybe the super everything
When
came in March of 1955. A regular Kryptonian dog sent into space by Jor-El in a So essentially, he was the Leica. They tested the rock. Jor-El tested a rocket with a dog before he put his kid in it.
mm.
But the rocket went off course and it didn't land on Earth the same time Clark did. It didn't come back until he was a teenager.
Mm.
Let's see.
Huh?
Right, that would be my next question. Another thing that actually bothered me is when Clark's giving the interview to Lois, he's doing it as Superman, I think there should be some differentiation between how Clark Kent speaks and portrays and comes across, and Superman. You cannot have just the glasses be the only thing. His
But they're
affect
hypno
and
glasses.
yeah, well, yeah, just a couple of shots when he's walking into the Daily Planet building, but his affect and demeanor and enunciation and all the body language has to be different. You can't just sell it as specs. That's it. Take them off. He's super. Um, and then another thing is that when he steps up to Lex Luthor, I'd imagine Superman looks physically imposing, but he's restrained because of his integrity and his
Yeah.
doing good and his compassion and his humanity. But he looks directly into the eyes of Nicholas Hoult. I don't think Lex Luthor should be the same height as Superman. That just felt so bizarre.
I don't buy
It just
the
it's
way
weird.
they're billing um the way they're billing David Cornsweet. He is officially listed in height as 6'6". That is a big dude, even for me who is 6'3". And I'm like, he does not give that off in there, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Bruce, hypno glasses is part of the James Gunnery that we accept. It occurred. It wasn't made up. It was something that appeared for like 2 panels in a comic like 30 years ago. Well, I 30 years ago, I keep thinking is 30 actual years ago, probably more like 50 or 60 years ago. But it actually was a thing in the comics. And they chose to throw that into this movie with little or no explanation. Um, so yeah, it's a comic accurate thing, whether it's something that you just choose. But yeah, is they didn't you can see in Superman 1978 is you can see Christopher Reeve when he goes from talking as Clark to talking as Superman, his voice changes. His shoulders straighten up and his chest sticks out. And then he's back to Clark. Like there's a literal scene where he's getting ready to debating. He's going to tell Lois that he's Superman, and he's Superman. He's standing in her apartment way away from her. He's like, "Well, Lois, there's something I have to tell you." And then he changes his mind, puts the glasses on, and well, it's like more like sometimes I get really nervous about.
hmm.
It has been said that Corn Sweat did that. Um, but I, I didn't see it or feel that it had a big impact on it.
Yeah. There wasn't the juxtaposition that you'd expect between Clark
And
and
you're
Kal-El.
right. When he's standing in there, I think they do it in such a way. Maybe he is as tall as they say he is, but they didn't do it. They like Tom Cruise it, where they bring other people up to his height instead of you know
Yeah,
bringing
yeah.
him down. But yeah,
Mm. So I think Nicholas Hoult is tall as well, but I just feel even if they were the same height in real life, to have a little difference on screen. To kind of contrast and highlight the brain versus brawn thesis that they mention a few
so it is.
times.
They are. You're right. Is they're saying that Nicholas Holt is 6'3".
Hmm.
So that is his official build height. Of course, the actress they have is playing Lois. I think his build is being like 5'3". Um,
Yeah, because
but you do
they
get
didn't.
that in some points where she's kissing him and you see he's holding her up and she's completely off the ground, and so yeah, we're devolving. We're going downhill into little minutia, and we don't need to go to the minutia. Is that people are still watching us? Thank you for that. This is going extremely long at an hour and 34. I hope it hasn't all been old men yelling at clouds, though a good chunk of it has. I really, really encourage everyone, if you have not seen this movie, to please go see it and form your own opinions. I would love to talk to any and all of you about that, online or off, um, about how you feel about it. And because I want to feel differently about the whole DCU. I want the DCU to succeed. I love watching media about Superman. I really think I have seen the vast majority of it. I don't think I've seen all the episodes. Of there was like a 80s or 80s TV show about Superboy, and I've only seen parts of it. I don't think I've seen the whole thing. Um, I've watched a lot of the animated content. DCU, the animated content is good stuff. Okay, we mentioned earlier Nathan Fillion is Green Lantern in that universe. The Superman the animated series that came out around the same time, just after Batman the animated series, amazing, loved it. The Justice League that came off of that, some really good stuff. Um, keep doing more with these characters. Keep doing more. Let this DCU go. Uh, Even though I did not like this movie, and I've given you all the time to do it, is all the reasons why I want to see it go forward. Yeah, is Bruce is a lot of people have seen it as an entertaining movie, and I think a lot of people that are not as deep into the Superman fandom and are not as passionate about the character of Superman and what he represents, I think are going to enjoy this movie. Yeah, is Sherry, do take it notes and pay attention when you go see the movie, and try and see if those things bother you, don't bother you.
Oh,
I get the
thanks
take
for
of,
joining us with the spoiler review, Sherry.
well, she knew
Appreciate you
ahead of
being
time.
here.
We warned Sherry.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
warned Sherry for a long time there were going to be spoilers. My 16-year-old daughter watched this movie. I forced her to go to this movie with me, and I also my wife. I was just like, "Hey, I bought you a ticket for Superman. We're going," and they were both like, "Oh no, he's going to do that the whole movie," and I didn't. I restrained myself. I was just explaining things to them that both of them didn't grasp, and they're like, "Wait, what happened there?" I was like, "Oh, that's a thing from the thing and the fact." But my wife was like, it was a movie. It was okay. My daughter enjoyed the movie, but she enjoyed it. This is her description, not mine. It's like, I liked it. I liked it because I liked it the way I liked the Flash movie. It was so bad that I thought it was funny and it was good. It's like, that was not me. And it's like, in some point, you're not wrong. And Bruce, I
yeah.
mean,
I did feel
entertaining
like that too.
for some
It
people,
is.
I think it really will be an entertaining, and I think that's why a lot of people are coming out of the film and liking it. It's just I was not able to let myself go enough from the things that they were doing to the character that I could enjoy it. I want to see this again, and maybe even in theaters see this again, to see if that changes after an initial, reaction, if that gets better, if that gets worse, if that stays the same. So, I mean, they're going to make money, and they're even going to make money off of me and the not liking it. But,
You
um,
DC shill. No, I'm kidding.
I know it. It's
No,
that.
it's fine. You
But
gotta love it.
yeah, is
Yeah,
is
you're
what I what
invested.
I
It's
what I
it's cool.
hate to see, and I don't want to see, is us get into a camp that other fandoms get in at something. Is I don't want to see, like, Snyder fans and Snyderverse fans trying to wreck this, and then Gunn shills just saying that they love it just because it's James Gunn and they love his other properties. Is That's not where we need to be. Is go see this, see it on its own merits, and form your own opinion. Yeah, Sherry, it's like, oh, memes. That's so very memes. It's just that's how it's gonna be. Is just everybody's going to have their own opinions about that movie. You're entitled to them. You should, and please do so. Don't listen to us. Figure
It
out
is
what.
entertaining. It is a good, decent summer popcorn movie. If you want a bit of escapism, it does do a lot to make you escape from reality, for better or worse.
It
And
doesn't. It doesn't, because the first part of the movie, what I thought I was going to hate, was the bring him into this world and have the comment on our society and social media and everything else, and then at 90 degrees
Yeah, I think it
for no
feels like
reason.
it gave up on a lot of themes and points that it set up, and it didn't really resolve them satisfyingly.
I don't know. So
But
anyway,
it's a fun ride. So
it,
yeah,
it
as you said, always watch and form your own opinion and bring your own. We all have our biases and our baggage and our points of view that are and blind spots, and as well as our own likes and dislikes, and uh, your own
go in and
yums and
do it.
mixed signals.
AMC theaters was all in for this. Their popcorn bucket, like I said, was great. I think there's all kinds of different popcorn buckets from different theaters around there. I've seen ones that are dog bowls and ones with crypto and a dog bowl. The theater that I was at, everybody was all in. Everybody that was working was not wearing the. I went wearing this T-shirt, the classic Superman
Why not?
logo, and classic is not like original. This is just my version of Superman's logo. I think you're going to have that too. Is how we talk about everybody having their Star Wars, whether it's the original trilogy, whether it's the prequel trilogy, whether it's the sequel trilogy, everybody's going to have their Superman. You
Yeah,
know,
why not?
Geo's got his right there, which is this shape, but it's got the texture and stuff. That one is probably a lot more Henry Cavill era that came out, right? With the texture, or between Ralph and Cavill, perhaps.
Yeah,
Um,
I like it's kind of an in between. It's more the iconic shape that we enjoy. The Cavill costume was a little there's a little distortion to
Yeah,
the
and
logo.
the texture in it is what gets the weird. But there, everybody in the theater was working at the theater had the new gun logo Superman shirts, and I thought, that's some dedication. You guys are really putting some stuff into it, and that's a good thing. So we're just wrapping up and doing last thoughts, Kat. So what are yours?
I like David Corn Sweat in the role. I liked him more than I thought I would, but he needs better material. It definitely needs more Clark Kent and Daily Planet. There's like none of that in this movie.
Mm,
Yeah,
And
big miss.
please give it to somebody else to write and direct next time. Because it's like James Gunn just can't let a good moment sit. He has to, throw in the dumb humor and shit, throw all this stuff at the wall. A story where Superman is completely inconsequential?
yeah,
No, you can't have that. So, I wonder if the overwhelmingly positive reviews is just a kick against the doom and gloom of the Snyder stuff. Because, really, this isn't that good of a movie. Uh, it's trying to be fun and all that, but again, it's if you're watching a story where it's clear your superhero, Superman, the gold standard, is not really that powerful and doesn't affect any change in the story, then what are you doing? You got to go back to the drawing board,
yeah.
So, but I think Lex Luthor was a plus. I thought he kind of worked out better than I thought he would, but I give it like 3 out of 5, maybe 60%. 6 out of 10.
Mhm.
Eh.
Yeah, I would go lower. Is like I said, is it was not as bad as I thought it was. You're giving it 6 out of 10. I would probably give it 4 or 5 out of 10.
All right.
Mhm.
Geo?
Yeah, I'd give it a 6.
Yeah.
When we go by the measure of 5 being dead average and not a poor score, because we
Mm,
tend to think 5 is a bad number when we're reviewing things. But yeah, I think it's above expectations in some way, and it does, for the most part, keep you entertained. But it's chaotic as heck, so it does feel kind of weird. I've just checked that currently IMDb's average user reviews 7.7 out of 10. The Metascore from Metacritic is 68.
yeah, is Rotten
Um,
Tomatoes is giving this certified fresh. Rotten, if you believe Rotten Tomatoes, his critics apparently love it. The theater goers love it even more. This
mm,
is probably the second or third, based on all of the Rotten Tomatoes, and this changes very frequently, so I haven't seen it
mhm.
since maybe yesterday. Is It's got at least as high a score as Superman 1978, not quite as high of a score as Superman 2, which again, we could get into the history of the Superman franchise and, what
Okay.
makes that Superman 2 the empire of the Superman original trilogy.
Worldwide, it is so far at 217 million.
Yeah. So this is
Okay.
going to be a successful movie.
Yeah.
Um,
It needs like 700 to be considered a success. I read, which sounds about right because they spent 225 on the production budget. I'm assuming they spent 100 on marketing, So that's
more than
650 to
that, I
break
bet.
even. So 700 would be a success, which is again still a lot of money, and you can see the money on screen with just the sheer amount of CGI. So yeah, but a success.
But things anyway, thanks everybody for watching us today. If you guys are interested in other Star Warsy stuff that's going on and other content, like Kat's wearing her Quint's shirt there, you can check out our last episode on the YouTube, which was the birth of the summer blockbuster, talking about the 50th anniversary of Jaws. You can check out in a little bit over an hour is Spencer is going to be on Star Wars Sith, talking all about Rebel ScumCon. Bruce had said, see some of you soon in Texas. I will be there at Rebel ScumCon. And Spencer's going to be over there on Star Wars Sith talking about that. You can also check yesterday, I was on the channel on a super special edition of Celebrating Autographs, where we talked about all of the people who are going to be at Rebel Scum and all of the properties that they have been on and all of that they have been in, and your chances to meet them and what you can get autographed. There will be another special Celebrating Autographs next Saturday at noon, where we will be talking about all of our group, the virtual Cantina groups, Boonty Eve special edition Texas guests, and what you can get signed, where that will be, and all of that stuff. So please join us in all the places for all the things. Check out if you want to know more about that. Check out Spencer in about an hour and 10 over there. Just search for Star Wars Sith there on the YouTubes, or check out the Star Wars Celebration Los Angeles 2027 Facebook page, and we will have links to all of that stuff there for you. And until the next time, let's go with I don't know, up and away.
Why not?